Hi, I'm Daryl Rainey from Progressive Realty Group here in Port Dover. Port Dover features many stately historical homes, like the one behind me. This home is one of the oldest in Port Dover, but it's been home to a single family for most of its years. Located right beside the Lynn River and Ivey's Dam, this is the Ivey House. Our friend Katie from the Port Dover Harbor Museum has a story behind this magnificent estate.
Located on Prospect Street, the Ivey House is one of Port Dover's oldest homes, with parts of it dating back to at least 1828 and possibly earlier. It's located in the original community of Dover Mills, which also featured Ivey's flour mill and Ivey's Dam. The land originally belonged to Colonel Robert Nichol. He was a prominent businessman, judge, and part of the Norfolk militia. The community of Dover Mills was burnt down by the Americans who raided in 1814 during the War of 1812, and he lost almost everything. He asked government for a reimbursement of $5,000 to replace a home, a mill, and several businesses that had been lost, but it's unlikely he rebuilt. He was elected to the legislature in 1812, and at that time he didn't have to live in the riding you represented, and it's unlikely he came back. Colin McNeilage is likely the builder of the original part of the home. He came to Port Dover and rebuilt the mills from 1827 to 1829 and stayed in Port Dover until his death in 1939. He was also the first postmaster, and his post office was just west of where the house is now. Colin's brother, the famous Captain Alexander McNeilage, arrived in Dover in 1830 and kept a diary of his life here. Upon arrival, he described the sparkling mill pond and unpainted houses where he would spend the next 6 years. Captain Alexander McNeilage is a very well-known folk artist. He was the first person to chart the north shore of Lake Erie and produced a book on that. He's generally known as the man who put the port in Port Dover, as he was very essential to building our harbor here. After Colin McNeilage, the home changed hands many times until the 20th century, when we had Joseph Ivey purchase it in 1913, and it's remained in the Ivey family since. The home is built in a vernacular neoclassical style, with a little bit of Regency added later on. The actual front of the house faces the river, which shows the importance of rivers at the time over roads. In the hallway, there's a walking stairs, which is an interesting way of building stairs. It allows you to keep the same pace going up and down as if you were walking on flat ground. An article in the Port Dover Maple Leaf describes the ornate wooden trim as being similar to that in the American White House. After the original part of the home was built by Colin McNeilage, Andrew Thompson lists it as a 1.5-story frame house in the 1851 census, and 10 years later describes it as a 2-story house, which means that at some point in those 10 years, it was expanded upon. Joseph Ivey left the house to his son Charles upon his death, and Charles would marry Imogen. And Charles and Imogen Ivey are credited with most of the changes to the house that still exist today. The land beside where the home is predates the house. There was a dam and a mill there that changed hands and different owners over the years. The dam was built where Patterson Creek tumbles over shelving limestone, and the mill was built by Daniel McQueen. In 1806, 600 barrels of flour were shipped from Dover Mill. McQueen later sold to Colonel Robert Nichol. That's when the mill burnt for the very first time. It would burn a last time in 1940. Charles Ivey awoke to the sound of car horns and looked out the windows of the house and saw the mill engulfed in flames. It was too late. It was a wooden structure. There was nothing he could do. The farmers wanted to assist with rebuilding, but he never did. Just the dam remains. A check with staff showed that precautions were taken the night before, so the fire was just likely an accident. The Port Dover Maple Leaf reported that the mill was full to the doors and there was a loss in excess of $20,000. There was actually a shortage in pie crust flour, as that was their main product at the time. Today, the house has a heritage designation within Norfolk County, originally granted by the city of Nanticoke.
The land on which this house sits has seen many significant historical events. The War of 1812, the industrialization of Port Dover, and numerous fires that have threatened its existence over the years. It's inspiring to know that a prominent home like Ivey House still stands today and will continue to stand in the future. If you're looking to move in and around the Port Dover area, be sure to contact us at progressiverealtygroup.ca, your hometown realtor.